Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of Mattzina Acting Tips. And I've got a cracker for you today. So, it's very, very new to the industry at the minute, but I'm going to be talking about Zoom auditions. Yes, that's right. Comment below if you've had a Zoom audition, how it's gone, and any questions as always, I'll be happy to answer them. But let's go into the background of it. Zoom auditions are obviously a very, very new concept idea. We've had a few, and a lot of casting directors and producers have played around with Skype calls for auditions, particularly in America, and kind of in the UK every now and again. I think I've only had a couple in kind of 10 years of being an agent. But then obviously the pandemic hit, and it was like, right, how do we keep the industry moving? So obviously the industry pivoted and said, look, well, we could do our auditions on Zoom. Then, wow, would you believe it? Casting directors, producers, people who hold the budget were like, wait a minute, we've discovered something here. This is cheap. And we can really actually get a fantastic idea of people's performances from a Zoom call. And do you know what? We do Zoom classes, and it's so much easier as an acting coach, and so it must be for a casting director and a director or producer to really see somebody's performance, because it's up close, you're right in the eyes. It's really much more preferential to get an idea of somebody's acting ability and ability to kind of subtly act for screen. It's amazing. It really, really is. So obviously then what happened is even when the pandemic lifted, the industry was like, well, this is good, this is cheap. Also, it's good for the actor because they don't have to, say, travel to London from up north, or, we don't have to pay for our travel expenses for certain aspects of the audition. What we can do is then recall them, and when we're whittling it down, or we pretty much know that somebody's going to be getting the role, at that stage we can pay expenses. So it saves a lot of cost. So it's here to stay. But actors need to, just like auditions, just like self-tapes, need to learn and need to catch up and realise that actually, because it's here to stay, you need to get good at them and think, how can I genuinely adapt to Zoom auditions to ensure that they're of an incredibly good standard. So you get a Zoom audition through, you get the link, you decide how you're going to do it. Think of your Zoom audition very much like you would a self-tape, all right? Background. Are you going to take away from your performance? Are you going to go for a blank background? Are you going to kind of have it wherever you would, wherever the circumstances of the scene? If you're at a dinner table, you might do a self-tape at a dinner table. Are you going to do that? Second thing, what equipment are you going to use? All right? You've got to make sure that the equipment is stable, all right? So you get a good connection. You've got to make sure that the equipment is of good quality. So which of the devices, is it your phone, is it your iPad, is it your laptop, which has the best camera on it? Use that, all right? Because it'll no doubt be recorded on the other end. Any props or anything like that, just like a self-tape, get them, okay? Here's a big one. Make sure that you've set it so that it's landscape, all right? Make sure that you're not just on their screen, just a kind of little box in the middle of a kind of landscape screen. So make sure that you get that. The best thing you can do is practice beforehand. Say, look to a fellow actor, can I do a Zoom call with you where we practice the script? And then you can set up all of the different parameters and make sure it looks and sounds perfect, and you can test out the different bits of equipment. You are probably going to be in a waiting room, waiting to kind of get into your audition. Be patient. Make sure that you're named properly. That's a big one. Make sure you're not iPad 1. Make sure you are, say for instance, Mattzina or Joe Smith. Make sure you are well named on there with the label. Make sure that your internet connection is stable. A tip is, is get everybody else to unconnect their devices from your internet kind of Wi-Fi box, so that so it's not under too much strain, because it's an important time for you. But just test it out, all right? Don't just go into it, because all those problems and issues, they don't make you look good, and really it doesn't give the most positive experience for the people auditioning you. When you then read, or obviously you go through the same thing you would do for an audition. You're going to talk to them, you might do a slate. Make sure all of that is really, really good. I always say in an audition, it's the chat that gets you the role a lot of the time. So make sure all of that's perfect. Be free. Make sure that you deal with everybody who's on that call. But when it gets to the read, a lot of people say, well, do I look at the camera? Yes, you do. You look at, it doesn't matter where they are on the screen, you look at the person you're reading with. Okay, because you need to react off them. That's acting, isn't it? All right, you need something, you need cues, not just audible cues, you need physical cues as well. And then obviously the usual thing, say thank you, but this is all just general audition technique. You know this. This is more specific towards Zoom auditions. So those are the tips and tricks around Zoom auditions. Make sure you nail it, because they genuinely are here to stay. And I'm really, really thankful they are. It's great for actors. It means that you effectively don't have to go to so much expense. It gives everybody a fairer opportunity. 2022 is the greatest year to be an actor. And the quicker you realise that, the better. Get that positive feeling around it. There's so much work going around. There's so many easy ways for everybody to audition. It's so inclusive at the minute. We really have come a long way, and Zoom auditions are part of that. So get good at them. Make notes on every single one of these tips and tricks that I've given you, and good luck. And if you've got any questions, as always, get in touch. Make sure you follow my linktree, linktr.ee/mattzina, to get in touch with regards to all of these different things. I've got Udemy courses on there, all the social media stuff. So make sure you get in touch. Make sure you follow that link as soon as possible. I'll leave it in the description. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode of mattzina Acting Tips, and I will be along next week for another fantastic episode.